Morning everybody, it's a glorious morning today, 1st of February, beautiful sunshine, very windy, but perfect opportunity today to get the old barbecue stoked up. I have brined over here a pork butt, and I'll show you how I did that in a moment, but basically that's been brining for 24 hours, just over. Just to help keep some moisture in. It was just a regular pork shoulder that you can buy from the butchers. I bought mine from the local butchers, and we're going to cook it probably about eight hours or so today. I'm going to use some nice applewood, which I picked up this morning, a little bit of oak, take it nice and steady. Two different parts to this, we've got the smoke and then we've just got the final cook. So let's get into it. So this is my brine. It's really simple. I've got 10 pints of water here. I've got about 3/4 of a pint of salt and 1/4 of a pint of apple cider vinegar, about 1/2 a pint of brown sugar. In then goes 1/2 an onion that I've sliced in half. I've got 8 cloves of garlic that I just crushed with the back of a knife. They go in, along with a tablespoon of smoked paprika. I've got 1/2 dozen or so cloves, about 1/2 a tablespoon of cayenne pepper, and then just really important to give it all a really good stir. The pork's going to sit in here, I'd say as a minimum overnight, but I gave mine, well, it was well over 24 hours in the end. So you just want to get yourself a really good piece of, I've got a shoulder of pork there. In terms of weight, it's about 8 pounds, really nice piece. Cost me 20 quid. That goes in, and I just gave it a little bit of a turn. I just sort of stirred it and turned it after about a few hours, and then it got sealed up, and I've put it outside where it's nice and cold. Okay, this is the piece of pork we're looking at today. The brine has obviously done its job. It's lovely and tender. Even just taking it out of the brine, I could feel that. So we're going to get this covered in mustard now, and then prep it for taking in the rub. So the mustard we put on there, it's just French's mustard, just a standard. I mean, you can put any type of mustard on it. It's only acting as a glue, really. So we're going to go ahead and put that on now, and see you in a moment. Right, all mustarded, both ends, top and bottom, all the way around. I'm just going to use my pork rub that I've made previously. I used it on the ribs as well. It's similar to the main barbecue rub that I use. The only difference is that there's a high sugar content in this. It's one of the major differences. The actual mixture and the quantities are fairly similar. So I'm going to go ahead and rub that now, giving a good liberal coat, and I'll see you again in a minute. So this is our fully rubbed up pork shoulder joint. This is also called, by the way, this is what Americans refer to as the pork butt. It's the shoulder joint, and it's the top of the shoulder. So the only reason they actually call it butt is it's nothing to do with the fact that where it comes from. It's just to do with how they used to pack them, and the crates they used to pack them in, they used to call them butts. I think it originates from the Boston butts, so that's sometimes where you see it referred to as Boston butt, pulled pork, that sort of thing. But it's essentially a shoulder. This is a full joint rolled. We're going to keep it rolled. I know I did a brisket video where I unwrapped it, but for the sake of this, I want to keep as much moisture locked in as possible. So it's just going to go onto the grill exactly as it is. We're going to get it outside now. Right folks, we're back outside again, back in the sunshine. I've got pork ready to go down here, and I've got the barbecue ready to go over here. Just probing the temperatures over the cooler zone. We're around about 230, one soon sort of slightly further than the other, one's running up a little bit higher than the other. But I want to keep in that 230, 235 zone really. Certainly don't want it to go over 240 because we want to cook it nice and slowly. So we're going to get it on now and see if it settles back down again. Okay, so here we have our hot zone over here. We've got some applewood just waiting to start to be licked by the heat of the fire, and then we've got our sort of cold coals over there, which is going to work its way around. A pan of water through there, lovely bit of smoke rolling. So we're now going to put the lid on. I'll see you in a good 2 or 3 hours. It's going to come up to, that'll come up to around about 250, and we'll check for temp in a little while. Okay, we've been going about an hour and a half now. I've got this set to, I've got it set an alarm at 250. This is just the temperature from the inside of the kettle. It's currently 242, and that's sat right over where the pork is sitting, so it's a fairly accurate read. This over here, I'm not too worried. This is sort of like the hot zone. That's not too far off. It's around about the same over the hot zone, and yeah, that's about as high as I want it to get, because I want to try and look after it and protect it so it doesn't get too burnt and too dried out ultimately. You can cook them a lot higher, and I won't be too worried about the temperature creeping up when we wrap it, but I'm going to leave it about another hour or so, and then I'm going to come up and wrap. Okay, we've been on the cook now for 4 hours. It's been holding perfectly around about 240 for absolutely ages, but we're getting close to the point where it's at 150 now Fahrenheit, so we're at the point where we're going to be pulling the pork off the grill, wrapping it up, and then sending it back on. So this is what I was saying earlier. I'm preparing some more coals over there. It's going to go on here with some fresh coal, because we're going to have to get it ready for another 4 hours. So see you in a bit. Here is our rolled pork shoulder joint. We've been going for 4 hours pretty much to the minute, and we've got an amazing dark bark all over it. Big old layer of fat on this pork joint. We're going to lose that when we come to pull it. There's no point in having that on there really. We'll retain a little bit just to keep some of the moisture, but it's the meat we're after. The meat looks an amazing colour. We've been on for 4 hours, as I say. We've hit 150, so it's time to wrap. The coals are doing pretty well still, but we've still got a few more bigger lumps to go. That combined with the starter coals that I've got going on and some fresh ones will keep us going through the rest of the cook, which I probably think is going to be about another 4 hours. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces of foil, as I've done before. Just going to wrap it one way and then the other. There's our little tin foil Christmas parcel. I've just left the thermometer in exactly the same spot. I didn't even bother touching it because I didn't want to get any different reading. I've just wrapped the foil around it and I've left the cable hanging out. Yes, Harry?
Did you put this on barbecue?
Yeah, that's what I used to start the barbecue. So now it's all wrapped, that's going to go back out, and we'll wait and see how long it takes to get to 200 degrees. Back onto the grill. No need for any smoke, but there's all of our fresh coals. Leave the cable out, plug it back into the thermometer for the meat. I'll do the same with the top, just try and keep a check on it. Put the lid back on and be good to go. Eight and a half hours we've been going. Let's have a little look and see what the thermometer's saying. So we are sitting at 199.2 or 3 Fahrenheit, which is basically 200. Bearing in mind it's going to be cooking for a little bit longer when we take it off the grill. This really got quite low, which might be one of the reasons why it's taking a little bit longer, but our main temperature did head down to nearly, it was about 210 at one stage. So I opened the main vent underneath just to wide open, just to get the temperature back up, which it did. And yeah, so now it's time to take it off. Okay, there's our double wrapped pork shoulder. It's been wrapped up and on there for about 4.5 hours. So we're going to take it off, take it into the kitchen and leave it to rest for another at least half an hour. So I've just unwrapped this amazing joint. Still got a lot of it's still really big. It's one of the noticeable things. Often when you obviously cook large joints of meat, they do tend to shrink down. This certainly hasn't. The fat layer that's on top has done its job really well, because there's so much moisture still in the meat. When I lifted it off the barbecue, I could feel the amount of moisture, and you can see there's an awful lot just down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of the foil, I'm going to let it sit and just rest for a little bit longer. I'm also going to keep a lot of the juice that's come out of it, and we're going to put that to one side. I'm probably ultimately going to put that into the fridge, and so that it'll form a layer of fat. Obviously the fat will rise to the top and it'll form a layer of fat. Then that's easy because I can then take that off, and then I can reheat that juice and use it to mix it through. I'm going to leave some of the juice in there for when I pull it in a minute. But the first thing I'm going to do is take it out here, and then I'm going to take the bands off the actual joint itself, and then we can get to pull it. Alright, so I've taken off the binding string, and you can see just by doing that it's actually pulled some out already, and I've got to say it's absolutely amazing. You can see the penetration of the smoke where it's gone really pink. There's a nice smoke ring to it, and I can't wait to get this fat cap off now and just reveal some of the amazing meat that's underneath it. Okay, so our fat layer is now removed, and you can just see how this, I've been really careful trying to take the fat off without it completely falling to pieces. It just wants to fall to bits. So I'm going to take a couple of forks to it. I won't have to pull too hard. I would use my hands, but I don't have any heat-proof gloves, so I'm just going to get to pulling this now. You can see just how easily it's just coming to pieces. It's absolutely amazing. All the different types of textures of the meat as well. There's chunks, sort of like around one side. You see where there's definitely sort of like more chunky, muscly pieces, and then there's a bit more fibrous stuff as well. Absolutely amazing. It's just falling apart. I bet it was great. Get a fresh fork. And smoke's done its work. It's really subtle. It's a shame we had to get rid of so much of the bark that was on the fat cap, but unfortunately the way that you buy the joints in this country, you know, it's one of the things that comes with it. You do have to, I think I prefer to keep it rolled as I did and cook it whole as it was. Just gets rid of some of the stuff you perhaps don't want, rather than unrolling it and yeah, sort of leaving it to chance really. I thought I'd keep that fat cap on there just so that it gave it some moisture during the cook, and then from there you can always remove it at the end. But the downside of doing that, of course, is that you do remove quite a bit of flavour, because that rub went on at the beginning. But that's, you can see how wonderful, it's still really nicely holding its shape. We've got some really nice long stringy pieces, but that's basically it for now. I'm going to keep some of it fairly intact because I want to, like, there's a huge great big piece there with a lovely bit of bark on it. I'm going to leave some of the bigger pieces intact rather than pulling it all now, because I just do want to try to keep some of the juice in it. And I've taken that juice off. This is the juice that was in the cook at the end. I'm going to set that in the fridge, and then any fat that's on it, I'll just take it out and then heat that back up and put it back in with it. The other thing I've got here in this bottle, this is just some of the vinegar barbecue sauce that I made up. I've put it into an empty squirty bottle, just to make it easier to distribute, but I'm just going to give that a little squirt as well. Very light. I don't want to go too over the top because it is vinegar, but that will help to dress some of the pork I'm going to eat now, some of the pieces that I'm going to sort of prepare for eating fairly shortly. But that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As always, please comment if there's anything that you found I didn't describe or explain very well. Just ask me some questions, and I'll do my best as I can to yeah, to help make it as easy as possible to do it yourself. Next video you'll probably see, I'm not going to show you one of me eating it, but I'll definitely show you one of the finished sandwiches that I'm going to do.